10 shocking facts about pharaohs they never teach in school. Today we're talking about the rulers of ancient Egypt, men and women who weren't seen as ordinary monarchs, but as living gods on earth. You'll learn why aging pharaohs had to run to prove they still deserved to rule. Why the worst punishment in Egypt had nothing to do with torture or execution. Why one mummy was preserved with its mouth frozen wide open, as if screaming in agony forever. You'll also discover why nearly every royal tomb was robbed, and why the most famous Egyptian king turned out to be a sick and disabled teenager. These are 10 fascinating facts about the pharaohs of Egypt. Fact number 1. The living god who married his own family. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was considered a living god. During life, he was believed to be the earthly form of Horus, and after death, he became Osiris himself. Ordinary people weren't even supposed to look directly into the pharaoh's eyes. Power usually passed from father to eldest son. But to keep the royal bloodline divine, pharaohs often married their sisters, and sometimes even their daughters. If there was no direct heir, the throne could pass to the husband of a royal daughter or to a noble supported by priests and generals. And sometimes succession was decided with poison and daggers. But for every Egyptian, including the pharaoh, earthly life was only the beginning. The real existence started after death. Fact number 2. How pharaohs were prepared for the afterlife. When a pharaoh died, an enormous ritual began. The body was taken to embalmers, who spent around 70 days preparing it for eternity. The brain was removed through the nose with a hook. The internal organs were taken out, except for the heart, because Egyptians believed the soul lived there. The organs were stored in special jars called canopic jars. The body was dried with salts, then wrapped in layers of linen filled with amulets and jewelry. Finally, the mummy was placed inside a sarcophagus together with gold, furniture, weapons, and treasures meant for the afterlife. In the earliest dynasties, servants, guards, officials, and even concubines were buried alongside the pharaoh. Literally, hundreds of people could be sacrificed at once. Later, Egyptians stopped doing this, not because of compassion, but because killing skilled workers and educated people became too expensive. Instead, they buried small servant figurines called ushabti, which were believed to come alive in the next world. Fact number 3. Why almost every tomb was robbed. Pharaohs were buried far away from cities, first inside pyramids and later in the Valley of the Kings deep in the desert. The idea was simple. The more hidden the tomb, the safer it would be. It didn't work. Guards often helped thieves in exchange for a share of the treasure. And the robbers were usually the same people who built the tombs: workers, priests, guards, and stonemasons who knew every secret passage and hidden chamber. Ancient court records still exist describing interrogations of tomb robbers in shocking detail. Eventually, priests gathered the mummies of famous rulers and hid them together in one secret cache. In 1881, archaeologists found them piled together, sometimes inside the wrong coffins. Ramesses II, Seti I, and Thutmose III, some of Egypt's greatest rulers, ended up hidden like forgotten relics. Fact number 4. The Screaming Mummy. Among the royal mummies in Cairo, there is one especially disturbing body known as the Screaming Mummy. Unlike the others, its mouth is stretched wide open in what looks like a silent scream. For years nobody knew who this man was. His body had been wrapped not in linen, but in sheep's skin, something considered ritually impure in ancient Egypt. Then DNA testing finally revealed the truth. The mummy belonged to Pentawere, the son of Pharaoh Ramesses III. His mother helped organize a palace conspiracy to murder the king and place her son on the throne. The plot failed. His organs were left inside his body, his name was erased, and he was denied a proper burial. For Egyptians, This was worse than death itself, the destruction of the soul forever. Fact number 5. The pharaoh who had to run. Ancient Egypt had a strange ritual called the Hebsed festival. After ruling for 30 years, the pharaoh had to perform a ceremonial run to prove he still possessed strength and authority. Many people believe a weak pharaoh would be killed if he failed. But historians have found no evidence that this ever happened. The run was symbolic, more political theater than athletic competition. The ruler wore ritual clothing decorated with an animal tail and performed before priests and nobles. Some pharaohs even celebrated the festival early to make themselves appear powerful and energetic. Fact number 6. Cleopatra is closer to the iPhone than to the pyramids. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Great Pyramid was completed around 2560 BC. Cleopatra died in 30 BC. The first iPhone appeared in 2007. That means Cleopatra lived roughly 500 years closer to us than to the builders of the pyramids. For Cleopatra herself, the pyramids were already ancient history. Egypt during her reign was heavily influenced by Greek and Roman culture. Fact number 7. A punishment worse than death. The most terrifying punishment in ancient Egypt was not torture or execution. It was the erasure of your name. Egyptians believed a person could only live forever if their name survived. That's why pharaohs carved their names onto monuments everywhere. If rulers wanted to destroy an enemy completely, they erased the person's name from statues, temples, and records. This wasn't simple vandalism. It was believed to destroy the soul for eternity. When Thutmose III tried to erase his stepmother Hatshepsut from history, workers spent years chiseling her name from monuments across Egypt. The same thing happened to Akhenaten after his religious revolution collapsed. Fact number 8. The heretic pharaoh erased from history. One of the strangest rulers in Egyptian history was Akhenaten. He came to power as Amenhotep IV around 1353 BC. Then he declared that the old gods were false. According to him, there was only one true god, Aten, represented by the sun disk. He even changed his own name to Akhenaten, meaning useful to Aten. He shut down traditional temples, seized the wealth of priests, and built a brand new capital city in the desert. After his death, everything changed back. The old gods returned. His city was destroyed. His name was erased from official king lists. For centuries, Egypt tried to pretend he never existed. But archaeologists eventually rediscovered the ruins of his lost city more than 3,000 years later. Fact number 9. The most famous pharaoh was a sick teenage boy. The world's most famous pharaoh is Tutankhamun. His golden mask became the symbol of ancient Egypt itself. But he ruled for only 9 years and died at 19. He won no great wars and built no legendary monuments. In fact, his own people tried to erase him from history. His fame exists mainly because his tomb was discovered almost untouched in 1922 by Howard Carter. Inside were more than 5,000 treasures, including the famous gold mask. But modern DNA studies revealed a darker story. Tutankhamun's parents were brother and sister. He suffered from severe health problems including a club foot, scoliosis, and other deformities. He likely also had malaria. More than 130 walking sticks were found in his tomb because he genuinely struggled to walk. The most famous pharaoh in history turned out to be a fragile, disabled teenager almost forgotten by his own civilization. Fact number 10. Female pharaohs and the Greek Cleopatra. Almost all pharaohs were men. She first acted as regent, then declared herself pharaoh. Her statues showed her with a false beard and masculine royal clothing, even though inscriptions still referred to her as a woman. The final female ruler of Egypt was Cleopatra, and she wasn't Egyptian. Cleopatra was Greek, descended from the Ptolemaic dynasty founded by one of Alexander the Great's generals. Her family ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years without speaking the Egyptian language. Cleopatra became the first of them who actually learned it. She married her own brothers according to royal tradition, and both died under suspicious circumstances. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony made her legendary. After defeat by Rome, Cleopatra took her own life, according to legend, by snake bite. Her son by Caesar was later killed by the Romans. And with that, the 3,000-year history of ancient Egypt came to an end. These were the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, living gods who married within their own families, feared having their names erased, built tombs that were robbed almost immediately, and became symbols of immortality without ever expecting it. History is strange, and ancient Egypt may be the strangest story of all.